Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochar. Rajya Sabha nominations hardly evoke excitement or be in the news. But sometimes it does happen. Yesterday was one such case. The president nominated 4 individuals to the Rajya Sabha in various categories. And one of them actually stood out. Sadanandan Master. A tall gentleman from Kerala who, when he stands up, is really tall. But behind him is a story of how gruesome attack by the CPM made him lose 2 of his legs and how he survived. Sadanandan Master came from a family which is basically affiliated to the CPM. His father, his mother, and even his brother and himself were all CPM cadres. Somewhere along the way, he was influenced by a poem written by the famous Kerala poet Akithu, and he decided to join the RSS, Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. But that is not good news for CPM, and that too from their hardcore belt of Kannur, where CPM claims to have an absolute hold. There is no dissension allowed anywhere in CPM. After all, this is the same party that owes its existence to Stalin and Lenin, both of whom kill lakhs of people in their country. But in India, it's a different ballgame. When the communists were relegated to just 2 states, West Bengal and Kerala, they of course were relegated to the sidelines in all other states. Even West Bengal, they lost, and even Tripura. And now it remains only in Kerala. Like a Jurassic party that is shifting itself to the museum to be displayed to the future generations. But let's come back to Sadanandan Master, or Marshe as they're called in Kerala, where teachers are given a huge amount of respect. He was a teacher in an RSS affiliated school, a Hindu school if you can call it that. One day in the night in 1996, he was walking along from a bus after getting down in his native village near Kutuparam in Kannur. He had gone to distribute invitation for his sister's wedding, and as he was walking out from the bus stand, CPM cadres followed him. They cut both his legs and ensured that the legs were so mutilated that the doctors would not be able to rejoin them. In fact, they even assured themselves that he was dead, or he would rather die bleeding on the road. Many vehicles passed by. Nobody even stopped to check what happened to him, because this is the land of the killers, the CPM. And as we know, right from the top leadership down to the last person, this is what they do to anyone who leaves their party. The T.P. Chandrasekharan case, we all know, had 54 cuts on his body, all because he dared to leave the party. M.V. Raghavan faced similar situation when he left the party. He was lucky to survive. But Sadanandan Master was made of sterner stuff. Finally, a police vehicle came along and they picked him up and took him to the nearest hospital. On the way, Sadanandan Master was singing verses from Bhagavad Gita. And finally, when he lost a lot of blood, he slipped into a kind of unconsciousness. The doctors in the hospital were sure that they could save him, but only save him of what is left of him. The 2 legs that were cut from the knee could not be saved. Later, after recovering, he got prosthetic legs fitted and continued his fight against the bloody communist. He ensured that each and every meeting of his would become a story to tell. Sadanandan Master then went on to teach his students in a school where he was already teaching before, but the communists ensured that all the students from that school withdrew unless, of course, he stopped teaching there. He had to leave the school, and the school in fact had to close down. He shifted to Thrissur, where he continued teaching. Before his legs were severed by the CPM murderers, Sadanandan Master had fallen in love with a colleague, and she told him that even though he had lost his legs, she would still marry him. And that's true love. His daughter did B.Tech, and she, of course, is one of the pillars of strength for Sadanandan Master. Many people outside Kerala wouldn't even know his story. Why would they know? Because for them, Kerala is somewhere a touristy place, beaches, backwaters, and lots of greenery. But the killing fields of Kannur were never projected as such. Hundreds were killed on both sides, CPM and RSS. And now there is a kind of a ceasefire in Kannur, which was brought about by leaders of both these organizations. But those who suffered in the past suffered. And Prime Minister Modi recognized this. In one of the public meetings in Kuthuparambu, from where Sadanandan Master contested, he held his hand up and told that India should recognize this person whose legs were cut off by the CPM, Gundas as he called it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a story that every Indian needs to know. I met Sadanandan Master in 2016 in Kuthuparambu in an RSS Karyalaya. It was a rainy evening and I had a long drive from Mangalore, meeting different party people on the way as I was covering the elections in Kerala. Sadanandan Master was seated in a bed without the prosthetic legs, which had to be taken off regularly because he would start bleeding sometimes from the knee. And he told me his story. I'm very confident, without any drama, and of course, a gentleman to the core. Sadanandan Master's life is something that every Indian should be proud of. For having stood up to the murderous communist and still survived to tell his story. He stayed on in the BJP leadership and recently was appointed as one of the vice presidents in the Kerala unit of the Bharatiya Janata Party, led by Rajiv Chandrasekhar. But he was destined for bigger things. And Prime Minister Modi called him 4 days ago to tell him that he was being given a responsibility, a bigger responsibility. But Modi ji did not specify what it was, till the announcement came in yesterday morning. And then there was a flood of news channels, everybody, reporters trying to reach him in Kannur to ask him how he felt about it. And he, as usual, in his gentleman way of talking, said he's proud of what he was being given and he would ensure that Kerala has a Viksit Kerala. That, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear more of Sadanandan Master in the Rajya Sabha in the days to come. And sure enough, when the communists in Rajya Sabha or even in the parliament, the other house, the Lok Sabha, meet him in the corridors, they should hang their heads in shame. Because this is what they did to one of their own who left the party and joined the RSS. This is a party that talks of democracy, freedom of speech, human rights, and all that nonsense. And this is what they did to a gentleman called Sadanandan Master. We should be proud of Modi ji for having got him nominated to the Rajya Sabha. And that is a big way of saying thank you for making it happen. Jai Hind.